There is a new term that most likely you never heard before, and this term is a story space. What is a story space? So first of all, let me point out that we are talking about visualization in real estate. Before to dive into story space, I want just to clarify what is a visualization in real estate. The most common, let's say, thinking about visualization in real estate is showcasing property, residential or commercial, industrial, through images, okay? So this can happen if the property is already there with photos, but if the property is not built yet, most likely with renderings. So when we end up to talk about renderings, architectural renderings, most of the time we are talking about in 3D modeling based on architectural specs that are created by 3D modelers, and they basically show how the property under construction or before even talking about construction, how it will look like when it will be completed. And usually real estate developers, brokers, they use these assets to pre-sell or pre-rent this property. So right now in the world, 99% of the developers and brokers, they think that visualization in real estate is just a simple showcase. Nothing too fancy, maybe something more sophisticated than floor plans, for sure, but nothing that requires particular heart. Yes, there are some important developers or some important developments that require very high-end 3D visualization, 3D renderings, but it's, let's say, probably 5% of the current building on the market. 95% of the building on the market, they really are focused on getting 3D renderings at the cheapest ways possible, okay? So, what basically developers they are doing is they take their vision that take a lot of years of their lives, since the idea came up in their mind, they acquired the land, they started to design the building with their architect. All these vision usually get represented by these 3D renderings. And I work in 3D renderings since 20 years right now. I had a lot of experience. The most popular questions people ask us when they are looking, to get some visual asset like renderings is how much it doesn't cost. This is the wrong question to ask, because you can't be driven by the cost of the visualization, but you should be driven by the principle that you want to show in the rendering. And this is where StoryBrand came into the game. Why StoryBrand in 2024 is so important? Because everything is about storytelling, because it's about the narrative. So if we are not able to put the narrative into the visuals, then we are losing the hugest opportunity that we can have in today's world, because everything is driven by the narrative. It's not driven by the specs of the building, by the specs of the property, or by the specs of the development itself, but by the story behind this project, by the story behind the idea of the building, the story behind the idea of this new construction, even if it's a commercial, okay? There are some important elements that most of the time they get lost in the translation between the design and the 3D visualization, because it's most likely driven by the price. And we are living in a world where basically everybody, they can really access very easily to 3D modeling software. And what's the difference between one rendering and another one, or one freelancer and another one, or one company and another one? Is not about the ability to make hyper-realistic renderings or very cool renderings. It's about to be able to create a narrative between all these assets. Because first of all, we are not talking about just renderings, right? So most of the time, these developments, they have videos, then they have virtual tours, then they have renderings and maybe other visual assets like a website and so on. If there is not, if the the story is not present across all these visuals, then you're, as a developer, you're losing a huge opportunity to create an emotional attachment to your vision. Because we're talking about vision right now, right? In the moment that developers, they are using these assets, is the moment that everything is still up in the air. It's just an idea. You know, if you need this asset, it's because you just have the land and nothing else, and you try to selling something. And I see too often that they are trying to sell in the property, and they are not trying to selling the dream, the story behind the property. And this is what they create an attachment, an emotional attachment to this idea that is the developer vision. So the ability to create a storytelling with visuals, it's a very early stage concept. So there is a huge opportunity there for modelers. They provide these services, but also for developers that want to be on the edge of the market with something new. Okay, so more and more in the recent years, we are seeing a very creative way to build buildings. Buildings, they use brands for luxury cars, for example, or buildings they are created to create an emotional attachment because their location or because the way they are designed. So there is a story. I am super excited when developers came to us because they are very driven by to create something different, because they know they are creating something they're going to stay there for many years, for probably centuries. Okay, so they know that. And they want to create something special. But all this is getting lost in the most important asset they have, the visuals. Okay? So, the ability to take this vision and translate this vision into the visuals, it's unbelievable, powerful. To really positioning the project, the vision, the brand of the building on the market with a new approach that can really make the difference. How a StorySpace works, it's not just a matter of creating a rendering that looks very real or looks very cool, or putting something special inside like a incredible staging or so on. These play an important part into this concept, but it's way more structured than just the visual itself. So we should break down these in different categories. So the first one is how the visual looks like. Obviously, they should look like real. They should look like they are alive. They shouldn't look like they are fake or cheap, because unless you're building something cheap, so it makes sense. It's about brand positioning in that case. But also it should inspire people that are looking at these assets as a place to live. Another important thing is the interactivity. So we are living in a world where is overwhelmed by animation, graphics, photos. It's full everywhere. So if you consider having a rendering, you are cutting edge. Well, it was like that 20 years ago. So today, everybody they have rendering, and everybody they do renderings as main asset to showcase their property. So you are one of them. Nothing special about it. Even if you raise the bar with very high-end renderings, it's just another picture. In order to achieve the goal of the engagement, you need to step up. And right now, you have the technology to do that. And you need to make something more engaging, something where the people can interact with. Let's call these 3D workflows. Okay? So the 3D workflow help people to engage in the flow between rooms, in the flow of the layout, and they interact with this. The interaction and is completely free. It's the user that decides what to look at, where to focus their attention. This is engaging. This is an engagement, and this is give to the users the sense that the developers is doing something for them in advance to sell or to share their vision. So it's a kind of I give you as much as I can to make you get in love with my vision. It's not a simple pictures with an angle like in 3D rendering, but it's a way more help to educate the audience, the users, about the vision. So the more you give to them, the more they will love you, okay? So engagement and interactivity is fundamental, okay? So that is another part in the story space, because we have a visual and now I want to interact with this visual. Another big part is the ability to create a two-way communication between the users and the developers. This is not simple chat. Many websites, they have a chat. Please stay away from bots, from AI chat. We don't want that. People want to talk with humans. This is not a market where you are overwhelmed by requests. Most likely you have a request that you can manage, like a human of your team can manage. So please manage humanly, okay? Have a team, they actually talk with them. But other than that, usually what we want is an interaction right there into the application. So we don't want people break, this magic flow, because they are inside the unit virtually, obviously, and they have a question right there, and you want to be there immediately to help them. So we rather prefer to use applications that are not just interactive, but they are communicating. So you want to create a communication channel that is immediate with them. I'll give you an example. So you are in the shop, you want to buy something like a new jacket for you. It's not nice to be immediately, caught as you get into the store from, people, they ask you, how can I help? Without even look at the store. But also you don't want to chase people around when you find something that you really like, right? So there is always a very delicate balance between you don't want to be pushed, but also you don't want to chase people. So, and which is the best in this solution? You find something that you like, and you immediately have somebody to talk with to help you to find the right size or to try out this jacket. In real estate, it's the same. You want to have the users in the moment that they have questions to be able to ask you a question immediately. So if you are able to create this flow that is immediate, you already win, okay? Because you are there for them when they need you, okay? So we don't want, for example, and this is really common, 95% of the website I audit every day, they have this situation where they have a chatbot, clearly not human. They have this asset buried between the home page and 25 clicks to get to some interactive when they have it, obviously. But also, when they need help because they have a question, they need to go out, find a contact us, get to the contact us page, fill a form that usually is 20 fields, and maybe they get to talk with somebody in a couple of days. It's too hard, too much friction, and you're losing a lot of opportunities there. If you do this, you already over 95% of the other developers, they are not doing that, okay? So this is a part of a very large world of the story space. I wanna give you just these few tips for today in this video. I don't wanna overwhelm you by this particular concept, but I wanna close this video by telling one thing. If you really love this type of content, and if you really think you are building something really different, and you want to make the people thinking and understanding that you're building something really different, you really need to start to adopt these strategies right now, because I can promise you, they give you an edge of 95% of the other competitor that you have around, probably in the same city or in the same state where you are building your next project. So I hope you find this helpful. And if you like this type of content, please subscribe, put your like, comments below, and see you in the next video. Bye.